After Lavoy Finicum was killed by the FBI and Oregon State Police, it was revealed in court that Mark McConnell was secretly working for the FBI. Soon after Lavoy's murder, Mark McConnell released a public statement about the murder, blaming it on Lavoy himself. "I will show that Mark McConnell is much more than just an informant, and he was part of an FBI Psyop to spread false information about Lavoy's murder."
Well, since I can't sleep, might as well go ahead and do this video. As many of the rumors and nonsense of flying, I gotta say I'm impressed with some of the asinine comments I'm seeing by a bunch of people that never hear. But this is what happened. Today we were heading to a meeting up in John Day, and myself and Buddha, Ammon, were in my Jeep. Lavoy Finicum's truck had Lavoy, Ryan Payne, Ryan Bundy, Shauna Cox, and 18-year-old girl that I won't disclose her name. We were riding up 395. Ammon was taking a nap in the back of my Jeep. Buddha and I were just jawing. You know, as we were going through the forest, we happened to look over, and there was approximately 11 heavy-duty, 3/4 ton, 1 ton trucks sitting there. All winches and jacked up and, standard HRT trucks.
How does Mark even know that the HRT was involved? The HRT is an elite branch of the FBI. How does Mark know what standard HRT equipment is? In order to know what is standard HRT equipment, you would have to have seen numerous HRT operations. Mark seems to have knowledge about the operation that is much more specific than a mere informant should have. Compare this to Shauna Cox's description.
Ryan Payne rolls down the window and he sticks both hands out the window and he yells back at I'm guessing whoever it was with the flashing lights, and he yells back at him.
The occupants of Lavoy's truck ask numerous times and still do not get a complete answer.
What are we getting now?
Who are you? Yeah, who are you? Who are you? Who are you?
Everyone else does not know who has pulled them over, while Mark McConnell knows exactly which branch of the FBI is in charge.
And they whipped out, pulled us over, pulled me out of the Jeep first, being a driver, being as tall as I am and such, being armed. Yeah, they were a little rougher with me, but I would be too.
In this statement, Mark is describing an interaction between the FBI and himself. He uses the word "I" to refer to the FBI rather than to himself. This indicates that he identifies more closely with the FBI than he does to the Mark McConnell character that he is playing.
Then they pulled Ammon out, they pulled Buddha out, and then after they had us secured, they radioed ahead that Vehicle 1 was secure, go ahead and proceed with Vehicle 2. At that time we seen somebody come out of Vehicle 2, didn't know who it was on the passenger side, and they're about 200 yards up. They went to the ground, they were handcuffed. Next thing we know, Lavoy takes off with his pickup and the other occupants. HRT, of course, pursues.
Again, how does he know that it is the HRT, unless he is more than an informant?
They got further down the road, and we realized there was actually a roadblock about a mile down. And from what Shauna Cox is saying, going off from what Shauna Cox and what Ryan Payne are saying, which were in the vehicle, visually, I seen the truck take off. Now, anytime somebody takes off with a vehicle away from law enforcement after they've exercised a stop, it's typically, considered an act of aggression and foolish.
No sane person outside of law enforcement thinks that running away is an act of aggression. To have an opinion like this requires quite a bit of brainwashing, the kind of brainwashing that you might receive in law enforcement training. The phrase, "exercise a stop," is law enforcement lingo, and not how an ordinary person would speak. Mark will now start throwing out insults about Lavoy, showing the true purpose of his video. Some of these insults will be thinly disguised as praise for Lavoy.
Payne said while they were sitting there and they were clearing my vehicle that him and Lavoy kind of had a heated discussion, and Lavoy was actually rather heated. But, I'm not going to dismiss, or degrade Lavoy at all.
Here Mark reveals his true purpose, to dismiss and degrade Lavoy. He would not say this if he was not fully aware that his statements will actually dismiss and degrade Lavoie.
Lavoie was very passionate, about this, about the movement, about what we were doing up here. But emotionally thinking, it's not always the best. But he was very passionate. I love the dude. Met him 3 weeks ago. I admired him. But he took off. HRT had to chase him. And then from what Shauna Cox was saying, once they got down there by the roadblock, I don't know if he tried to go around the roadblock or what he did. But anyways, the nose of his truck got stuck in the, snowbank right there. And Lavoie has a diesel, manual transmission. From what Shauna Cox said, from she was inside of his truck again, that when he exited the vehicle, the rear wheels of the vehicle were still spinning, which diesel truck, manual transmission, makes sense. It's possible until it stalls. And he charged after law enforcement.
Although he did not witness this, and no other witness corroborates this, Mark will state 3 separate times that Lavoie charged law enforcement. This is one of the key statements that Mark presents. Mark is trying to justify the shooting of Lavoie by planting false information. Since this is contradicted by other witness statements, this information could only have come from the FBI or Oregon State Police. This next section is a convoluted mess of contradictory statements, but Mark still gets his main point through, repeating it 3 times, that Lavoie charged the police. He will claim that he got his information from Shauna and then try to discredit Shauna. He will speculate about things he did not see and then claim he was not going to speculate.
Numerous, her story's changed a few times. She's added pieces, subtracted pieces. I don't know. I really don't know. What I do know to be true is from what Payne said, from what Shauna said, taking, pieces here, pieces there, and from what I witnessed. I didn't see the shooting. He was not on his knees. He was not none of that. He was none of that nonsense. That was a miscommunication on somebody else's part. But he went after him. He charged him. Lavoie was very passionate about what he was doing up here. Not dismissing what they did, not dismissing what he did. I don't know. I didn't see it, and I'm not going to speculate on it. But here it is. I'm tired of all the rumors, tired of all the gossip and bullshit. He was gunned down. No, I don't know if he was gunned down. Hell, I was there. I know he took off. I know he drove that way. I know he led him on a pursuit from a person that was in the vehicle. He jumped out of his vehicle basically while it was still alive and charged at him. That ain't gunning somebody down. I don't know what happened up there. But you know something? I was up here while all the rest of you weren't. So don't put speculation out there. Don't put nonsense out there. The rest of the guys are still in custody. I'm out.
Now Mark's statements will be compared to the FBI video.
And he charged after law enforcement. But he went after him. He charged him. He jumped out of his vehicle basically while it was still alive and charged at him.
Stay down. Stay down. Stay down. Stay.
A quick look at the FBI video shows that Mark's statements are false. Lavoie did not charge the police. Most of what Mark talks about he did not actually witness. However, there is one significant event that Mark should have witnessed. At the first stop, the police fired a shot at Ryan Payne. After this, Ryan Payne got out of the truck and was arrested. Here is Mark's description.
At that time, we seen somebody come out of vehicle 2. Didn't know who it was on the passenger side, and they're about 200 yards up. They went to the ground. They were handcuffed. Next thing we know, Lavoie takes off.
Mark does not mention the shot at all. Later, Mark was secretly recorded talking about hearing the shot.
You didn't see them shoot at Ryan and the truck, correct?
We heard a shot, but we were probably, I would say between 100 and 200 yards. We heard what sounded like a shot.
In this next segment, Mark refers to the shot as a pop.
He called for, he's the one that called ahead that said the vehicle 1 was clear, we see the vehicle 2. That's when you heard the pop. You hear the pop, but I couldn't see like a weapon in anybody's hands or anything. And then that's when Payne came out of the truck and went to the ground.
Mark did hear the shot, but he neglected to mention it in his public video. and he made up details about events that he did not witness. FBI agent Mark McConnell is absolutely not trustworthy as a witness. This graph shows the number of people searching Google for Lavoy Finicum for a month following his death. It shows that for a few days many people will search for information, but the interest drops quickly. This means that whoever sets the press narrative in the first few days will determine what the majority of people believe, and their opinion is likely to remain fixed after this time. The FBI wanted to set the press narrative in this crucial time window. This is why Mark McConnell was released early to tell his story.
Yeah, the rest of the guys are still in custody. I'm out.
He was neither a real protester, nor was he an eyewitness to Lavoy's murder. However, as long as this was not revealed until after the crucial time window, the FBI would be able to push a false narrative without people realizing where it came from. However, there was an unforeseen problem with the FBI strategy. Victoria Sharp was in Lavoy's truck by a coincidence and was an eyewitness to the murder. They had less reason to hold Victoria than they did Mark McConnell, and the police had to release Victoria. For Mark's story to set the press narrative, they had to discredit Victoria. Here is a key part of Victoria's early statement that came out soon after the murder.
He was just walking with his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air, and they shot him.
In the following interview, CNN attempts to discredit Victoria.
So a lot of times witnesses don't see things correctly. The FBI released some video. Have you seen this video yet?
I don't think I have.
Can I show you, have you take a look at this
Sure.
video?
So he had his hand up. Look at his hands. His hands are in the air.
Right. And this is, see him right there? That's him. What the FBI is saying is that he specifically reached for something in his left pocket twice.
I can't say if he was reaching for a weapon or not.
Now we will take a closer look at the part where the FBI claims that Lavoy was reaching for a gun. This time the sound will be included.
Stay down. 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 Stay down.
There is a sound of a gunshot just before Lavoy brings his arms to his chest. The FBI and Oregon State Police had less lethal weapons similar to this. The sound of this weapon is very similar to the gunshot in the video, and Lavoy's reaction is also similar to the test subject in this video. Let's look at the interview segment again, except this time I have added the sound that goes with the video.
Can I show you, have you take a look at this
Sure.
video?
So he had his hand up. Look at his hands. His hands are in the air.
Stay down. Stay down. Stay down.
See him right there? That's him. What the FBI is saying is that he specifically reached for something in his left pocket twice.
I can't say if he was reaching for a weapon or not.
Here the FBI video is compared to Victoria's initial statement.
He was just walking with his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air, and they shot him.
Stay down. Stay down. Stay down.
Victoria witnessed the murder, and Victoria's statements match the FBI video. Mark McConnell's statements do not match the FBI video. However, most of the mainstream press presented Mark McConnell's statements as accurate, while attempting to discredit Victoria. Victoria was correct all along. When conducting a false flag terror event, it is common to have a psyop before the incident to prepare the minds of the public to accept the story. Following the incident, there is another psyop to set the press narrative. When these two stories match, people tend to think that nothing is out of the ordinary because events turned out as expected. In this case, the psyop to prepare people's minds was the Tony DeCopel psyop, which planted the ideas that there was an arrest warrant and that Lavoy had a death wish. Both were false. There was no arrest warrant, and the death wish came from Tony, not from Lavoy.
And you've got a death wish.
I have no death wish. I love life. I have 20 grandkids. Actually, I have 19 and 2 on the way.
Okay, 19 and 2 on the way, so
Yes.
you've got something to live with.
I have something to live
but you're
for.
prepared to die.
The psyop to set the press narrative after the murder was based upon Mark McConnell's video. His main points were that Mark was a protester who was an eyewitness and that Lavoie charged the police. While charging the police seems consistent with the earlier claim that Lavoie had a death wish, these claims were all false. Mark was not a real protester, he did not witness the murder of Lavoie, and the FBI video clearly shows that Lavoie did not charge the police.
You know, I've seen a thing now that, you know, I must be a fat or whatever. No, I'm just smarter than your average retarded bear. I don't know what happened up there. But you know something? I was up here, while all the rest of you weren't. I didn't see the shooting, and he charged that to law enforcement, you know.
Mark's statements were used by the media to spin the story blaming the murder of Lavoie on Lavoie himself. The mere presence of a psyop to set the press narrative with false information indicates premeditated murder and an elaborate premeditated cover-up of that murder. If the FBI was doing its job and Mark was just an informant, the logical action would be for Mark to remain silent and not blow his cover. Mark's cover as an FBI agent was blown as a result of this psyop. This was a huge price to pay and indicates that this psyop was higher priority than any future informing that Mark could do. This also indicates that killing Lavoie was the priority, because Mark McConnell's ability to act as an informant was sacrificed for the psyop once the primary mission of killing Lavoie was complete. In conclusion, the FBI is responsible for the lies of Mark McConnell. The FBI staged a psyop to present false information to the public for the purpose of covering up the premeditated murder of Lavoie Finicum. Since it is unlikely that the FBI will be indicted for the murder of Lavoie Finicum, the only hope for justice is the lawsuit by Jeanette Finicum. Although I do not speak for Jeanette Finicum, I recommend that decent people donate to her legal fund. You can do this at Jeanette's website, onecowboysstandforfreedom.com.